The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
We are now going to continue our Super Bowl coverage. We'll give our previews for the game. We'll talk a little more in depth about it, and we'll give our picks as well. I won't play music for this one because we're just previewing one game, so we don't need the picks music. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a very interesting game. When you look at the Broncos and you look at the Panthers, they're sort of identical, but they're not. And I say that because they both have good defenses. They both have very good quarterbacks that can really help the offense. Cam Newton's more of the offense for the Panthers, and Peyton Manning's wide receivers and tight ends are more of the offense for the Broncos. But either way, it's going to be a very interesting game. Although we did say this 2 years ago with the Broncos and Seahawks, and it ended up being the most boring game just because it was so one-sided between the Seahawks and Broncos. But I have a feeling that's not going to happen this time.
Yeah, I think it'll be a closer defensive battle. The Broncos' defense wasn't as good as it was a couple of years ago, or it wasn't as good as it is now as it was a couple of years ago when they got killed by Seattle. Really, it's about stopping Cam Newton, and that's tough. You have to try to keep him in the pocket, don't let him beat you with his legs, and try to shut down Greg Olsen and his receivers. Aqib Talib can easily does a great job of shutting down each team's top receiver. So he's going to have his hands full. That entire defense will. Von Miller's going to have to be able to get to Cam Newton and bring him down.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is it's just it's Cam Newton. He's going to be throwing in the pocket. He's going to be throwing to Emmanuel Sanders. He's going to be throwing to Demaryius Thomas. He has a lot of weapons that can catch the ball, out of a lot of people. And Cam Newton has Greg Olsen. The interesting thing, I wonder, how much more scary the Panthers would look if they had a healthy Kelvin Benjamin. Because that would be scary because he was, he's one of the best receivers in all of the game. And he, was out for the season. And if they had him, they could be undefeated right now. It's possible.
Yeah. They did lose to Atlanta, and I had been saying they might be better off losing a game at the end of the year than they would going undefeated, because then they
so far it's worked.
Think about how much pressure they would have had on them throughout the whole playoffs if they were still undefeated.
Right, and the Patriots in the 2007 season, they came this close to being undefeated for the whole year, and then the Giants spoiled it, and then they beat them again 4 years later. So it's just the very interesting development between who will be the next team to be undefeated besides the 72 Dolphins, because the Bears in 1985 were this close, but they got blown out by the Dolphins, ironically, and they ended up only having one loss all season. It's just it's very strange. It's very hard to go undefeated in any season. Football, you would think, would be the easiest, just because teams have gotten pretty close to it, and there's only 16 regular season games.
Right. It's tough. Especially to keep the majority of your key players healthy. I know they lost Kelvin Benjamin in training camp, except for the most part, they've kept most of their key players healthy. Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, Josh Norman, Greg Olsen. They've been able to keep really their main guys healthy.
Right.
Or healthy enough that they've been able to play in all their games.
Just to recap what's happened in the playoffs and regular season, I believe Ryan Risky, I won our picks for the regular season. I think I won something like 7-5-1 to 5-7-1. I don't remember what the numbers were, and I don't feel like going back and looking. But looking at the NFL playoffs so far, Ryan Risky won the first round with 4. He got all the picks correct in the first round of the playoffs.
I did, didn't
and
I?
I got 3 of the 4. My only mistake was picking Minnesota over Seattle, which should have been correct, and then I would have had all 4.
That one should have been correct.
Yeah, and in that case, I would have won. Second round, we tied. We each had 3 correct picks. I picked the Kansas City-New England game wrong because I was stupid and went with Kansas City. And then you picked Seattle over Carolina. So that was a tie there. And then I ended up winning the championship rounds because I picked both of the games right. I wasn't rooting for the Arizona Cardinals. I was rooting for the Arizona Cardinals, but I picked Carolina. So that's sort of how that went. I picked them both right. So I won that. And now for our Super Bowl picks, it's going to be who's the home team? I guess the Panthers would technically be the home team, right? Like, I wonder how that works.
Yeah.
There's no home field advantage.
No,
right?
It alternates every year. Actually, I think the Broncos are the home team, so they got to pick which jersey they want to wear, and they're wearing their white ones because in the Super Bowls that they've won the white ones, they're undefeated, and in the Super Bowls they've worn the orange jerseys, they've been destroyed.
So they must have worn the orange jerseys 2 years ago. And then they must have worn them against the Packers when the Packers beat them. I know the Packers beat them once, and then there was a rematch the following year, and that's when the Broncos ended up winning that. And then they won the following year, too. But, yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I don't really know. It's a really tough pick between the Broncos and Panthers. My early reaction says that the Broncos are going to win. Just because Peyton Manning, he can win the Super Bowl and then retire, and I just think that would be a story, and it's a story that sort of makes sense because he has been such a great quarterback.
Right.
So I'm going to go with the Broncos, and that might change at some point, but as far as this show is concerned and this piece of paper is concerned, I'm going with the Broncos.
Yeah, and it's the thing, you just want the Broncos to win just so Peyton Manning can go out on top because he's one of the guys that deserves to go out on top. You're not really rooting for the Broncos. You're rooting for Peyton Manning. Except I really like Cam Newton. I really think the Broncos are going to win this one too. I think that they're going to win this 24-20.
Oh, that's right. I got to give a score.
Actually, I'm going to go 27-20.
27-20. I think they're going to have a late drive, and Brandon McManus is going to hit the game-winning field goal. I'll say 27-24 Broncos. I think it'll be tied 24-24 going into the final minutes. Broncos are going to have the ball with a chance to win the game, and Brandon McManus will hit a game-winning field goal with either no time left or like 2 or 3 seconds left, and that'll be the difference. I guess while we have a little bit of time before our final break, can you think of your favorite moment in this Bears season? If you could think of a favorite moment, I know there's a lot of negatives, but can you think of your favorite positive moment of this Bears season?
I'm going to say something, and then you have to tell me if that's too far back. I'm going to say firing Mark Trestman at the end of last year.
That's a little far back. I'm talking about them playing the
actual season.
From week 1 to week 16.
I think I'm going to have to go.
Is there a favorite play or a favorite moment, maybe? I'm trying to think of mine, too. That's why I had you go first, because I have no clue.
Winning a home game.
Okay.
The Raiders game that we were at.
Yeah, we were both at that.
The only home win.
I know. I was kind of rooting for them to lose all the home games, especially when it got to the point where they could have.
Especially when it got to that point when the season was lost, and then you just want to. It just kind of shows how pathetic they are. It's like you just want them to. Really just to get a better draft pick. They finished 1-7 at home.
Yeah, it's a fun little sort of. Like a bit of information that you and me were both at their only home win, and they barely won that.
And I didn't even realize that was their only home win until after Gold missed that field goal against the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when I was like, is that really their only home win
because
so far?
In actuality, they played pretty darn well at home. Besides the first 2 losses to the Cardinals and Packers, they played pretty well at home. They should have beaten the 49ers, should have beaten the Broncos, the Super Bowl bound Broncos. They should have beaten who did they play after San Francisco? They should have beat the Vikings.
I think they lost to Detroit.
They lost to Detroit the final game of the season. They probably should have found a way to win that, I think. I don't even remember. I'm not even sure if I watched that. And that was just a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember it. But yeah,
that's how bad the season was. You just want to forget it and look forward to next year when they might make another couple free agent signings like Danny Trevathan.
They had all their exciting wins on the road, like San Diego and St. Louis. Everything was on the road.
Really exciting win, especially when Cutler threw that dart to Zach Miller to win the game.
Yeah, that was awesome. And that's when they were starting to possibly turn it around a little bit. They ended up I guess if they ended up still playing on the road those following weeks, if they had an all-road schedule, they'd be in the playoffs, I guess. So
yeah,
that's the thing.
Next year, I think the most interesting thing will be seeing Kevin White play.
Yeah, yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, I think that should be the most exciting thing. At least you would think so, because he had such high hopes, and you have him, you pair him with Alshon Jeffrey.
Assuming he gets re-signed.
Which he should. I mean, if you're going to re-sign anybody, why would you not re-sign him? He's your best player.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand Forte might be gone, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I'd rather have Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, the thing with Jeffries, he's 24 or 25, and that'd be taking a massive step back by trading him.
Right. And, you got to find a way to keep him. It shouldn't be that difficult. So we'll see. We'll see how different the team looks, too. I think the start of the new season, at least when they make moves and everything, is something like early March 3rd or something. So when they start doing all that, and you'll see all the crazy stuff, when all those moves kind of happen all at once. It's very strange. It's like, 3 in the afternoon when they all start happening. It's
and the
weird.
thing that's weird is that these signings, they get reported a week early because you're allowed to negotiate a week early, because you can't sign until a certain day, which is just kind of weird.
Right. Yeah, it's I mean, it's all very weird, the way that they set it all up. I guess before we go to break, I should give you my favorite moment of the season. I guess it would be the Bears beating the Packers on Thanksgiving.
That honestly,
because it didn't ruin the whole day. At least.
Honestly, that should have been everyone's favorite moment of the season. I completely forgot about that win. That was a thrilling win.
That's because it didn't mean anything. Although at the time they were still in it. But that's because if they had a good season, we would all remember that. But since they didn't have a good season, it's hard to remember. But yeah, they beat them on a holiday, and that was pretty nice.
Well, the thing is, it's not that it wasn't a bad season. It's just if it was a horrendous season like the year before, you remember that. You remember that,
right.
How bad they were the year before. You don't really remember
God.
a season like this.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back for our final segment here on Sports Renegades on SportsTownChicago.com. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.